My husband said I was nothing without him. 9 days later, he was begging outside. He was on his knees, pounding on my door. Please, Maya, just open it. 9 days ago, we were in a packed ballroom, our anniversary party. 247 guests. Glasses raised.
Cameras out.
And my husband, Daniel, standing at the center like he owned everything. He tapped his glass, smiled, and said it loud enough for everyone to hear. Let's be honest. She's nothing without me.
People laughed.
Actually laughed. Even his ex, front row, smirking like she'd been waiting for that moment. I didn't cry. Didn't argue. I just slid my ring off, placed it on the table, and walked out. And now he's outside my door, shaking, desperate, because something changed after that night. Something he never saw coming. The knocking doesn't stop. It's not controlled anymore. It's frantic, uneven, desperate in a way I've never heard from him before. Maya, please, I just need to talk. Just 5 minutes. 5 minutes. I almost laugh, but it catches somewhere in my chest instead. Because for years, that's all I ever asked him for. 5 minutes of being taken seriously. 5 minutes without him cutting me off, correcting me, explaining me to other people like I wasn't even in the room. Through the door, I can hear him pacing now. Shoes scraping against the concrete outside my entryway. His breathing is loud, shaky, nothing like the polished, confident voice he used on that stage 9 nights ago. Back then, he didn't hesitate. Not for a second. I can still see it. The way he stood there under those soft gold lights, perfectly tailored suit, glass raised like he was delivering something meaningful. Like he deserved everyone's attention. And he had it. All of it. My friends, his colleagues, people who had sat at our table, laughed with us, trusted us. No one interrupted him. No one questioned him. And when the words left his mouth, when he reduced me to nothing in front of all of them, it didn't even feel like a shock. It felt practiced. Like he'd said it before. Just never where everyone could hear. Outside, his voice cracks. Maya, I messed up. I know I did. Just open the door. I walk closer, stopping just inches from the handle. He doesn't know what changed. He doesn't know what he triggered that night. And he definitely doesn't know what I did the moment I walked out of that ballroom. Before we go anywhere further, comment where in the world you are watching from and make sure to subscribe because tomorrow's story is one you don't want to miss. What Daniel didn't understand started long before that night. From the outside, our marriage looked effortless. The kind people quietly envied. Big house, curated dinners, vacations that looked perfect in photos. And Daniel, always the one telling the story, always the one controlling how it sounded. Maya doesn't have to work, he'd say casually, like he was doing me a favor. I take care of everything. At first, people smiled at that. It sounded generous, protective. But over time, the tone shifted. The jokes got sharper. If I left her alone for a week, she wouldn't know where to start. Numbers just aren't her thing. And every time, I'd feel eyes turn toward me, waiting to see if I'd laugh too. Most of the time, I did. Because correcting him never worked. Early on, I tried. Quietly, privately. Why do you say things like that? I asked him once, after a dinner where he'd spent 10 minutes explaining my own ideas back to me. He didn't even look up from his phone. Relax, Maya. It's a joke. Don't be so sensitive. That was always the answer. A joke. My reaction was the problem, not his words. So eventually, I stopped reacting. And that's when things changed. He started handling everything. Or at least, that's what he called it. Finances, accounts, investments. It's easier this way, he told me. Less stress for you. At first, I believed him. Signed where he pointed. Trusted what he said. But then little things started not adding up. Accounts I couldn't access. Documents I was told weren't important. Decisions already made before I was even included. I didn't confront him. I started paying attention. Quietly.
Carefully.
6 months before that party, I asked him a simple question over breakfast. Can you show me how everything's structured? Just so I understand. He smiled too quickly. Of course, he said. Later. Later never came. But something else did.
Clarity.
Because the more he brushed me off, the more precise my questions became. The more I listened, the more I noticed what he assumed I'd never notice. And then one night, while he was asleep, I made a call. A quiet one. The kind that doesn't look important from the outside, but changes everything underneath. By the time Daniel started planning that anniversary party, insisting it be big, public, unforgettable, I didn't argue. I didn't hesitate. I just smiled and said yes. Because I already knew. That night wasn't going to prove what he thought it would. It was going to give me exactly what I needed. And he had no idea he was walking straight into it. By the next morning, Daniel still thought he was in control. He texted once, short, casual. "You done being dramatic?"
I didn't respond.
By noon, he called.
Twice.
Then 5 times. Each call sharper than the last. "Maya, pick up. This isn't funny. Where are you?" I watched the phone light up and set it face down, because by then it had already started. Around 2 p.m., his bank card declined. At first, he blamed the machine. Switched cards. Tried again.
Declined.
He stepped aside, annoyed, dialing the bank like it was a simple inconvenience. It wasn't. Within minutes, the irritation in his voice shifted. "What do you mean restricted?" "No, that's not possible. I'm the primary." He stopped talking, listening, for a long time. Then quieter. "Who authorized that?" That was the moment it hit him. Not fully, not clearly, but enough to feel it. Something was off. By evening, the calls started coming in from people who didn't usually call him directly. A vendor asking about a delayed payment. A partner checking on a frozen transfer. An assistant forwarding a notice marked urgent. Daniel paced through the house, phone glued to his ear, trying to fix things the way he always did. Fast, loud, confident. But nothing moved. Every solution he reached for stalled. Every account he opened limited. Every answer he expected missing. By day 3, the tone had changed completely. No more jokes. No more confidence. Just questions. Too many questions. He left me voicemails, then long ones. No longer angry. Just confused. "Maya, I don't understand what's going on. If this is about the party, we can talk. Just call me back." I didn't. Because by then, another message had reached him. Not from me. From a lawyer.
Short.
Formal.
Precise.
Requesting a meeting regarding shared financial structures and asset control. That's when Daniel stopped pretending this was temporary. Because for the first time, he realized he wasn't locked out of something random. He was being cut off deliberately. And he had no idea how far it went. By day 5, Daniel stopped trying to sound in control. He showed up to the lawyer's office early, 10 minutes, then 20, pacing the hallway like he could wear a path into the floor. When they finally called his name, he walked in with that same practiced confidence, but it didn't last. Because within minutes, he stopped interrupting, stopped correcting, stopped talking altogether. The lawyer didn't raise their voice.
Didn't need to.
They just laid the documents out one by one, clean, organized, undeniable. Ownership structures. Signed agreements.
Dates. Signatures.
Clauses. Daniel leaned forward, scanning the pages faster and faster like speed would change what he was seeing. "It says my name is here," he said at one point, tapping the paper. "It is," the lawyer replied calmly. "On a limited authorization basis." That word, limited, hung in the air longer than anything else. Because suddenly, every account he thought he controlled wasn't really his. Every decision he thought he made had boundaries he never noticed, or never bothered to. He flipped another page, then another. His hands slowed. "These structures," he muttered, more to himself than anyone else. "When were these even set up?" The lawyer didn't hesitate. "Years ago." With updates over time.
Years.
Daniel sat back, the weight of that settling in piece by piece. Not recent. Not reactive.
Planned.
Carefully. Quietly. All those moments he dismissed, her questions, her silence, her calm. They weren't weakness. They were preparation. By the time he walked out of that office, his steps weren't steady anymore. And the outside world didn't feel the same either. Calls went unanswered. Messages got shorter. People who once leaned in started pulling away. Even his ex, the one who smirked that night, stopped replying. Because whatever version of Daniel they believed in was starting to crack. By day 9, there was only one place left he could go. One person who had answers. He found the address easily. Different house.
Smaller.
Quiet. No audience. He stood there for a long time before knocking. Then finally,
He did.
and when the door opened just a few inches, he saw something he had never seen before. Not anger, not hurt, just certainty. And, in that moment, Daniel realized he had never actually known his wife at all. For a second, neither of us spoke. Daniel just stood there, eyes searching my face like he could still find the version of me he thought he understood. The one who stayed quiet. The one who let things slide. She told me everything, he said finally, voice rough. The lawyer, the accounts. I don't, he stopped, swallowing hard. Maya, what is this? I didn't open the door any wider. It's exactly what you asked for, I said.
Calm. Clear.
He blinked. What? Control. The word landed heavier than anything he'd heard all week. I watched it settle in. You wanted to manage everything, I continued. So, I let you manage what you could see. His expression shifted, confusion, then disbelief. What I could see? I nodded once. Years ago, I stopped trusting the way things were set up, I said. So I got advice. Quietly. I made sure the real assets, the properties, the reserves, the business stakes were protected. Legally. Structurally. His face drained of color. You signed everything, Daniel, I added. You just never read it closely. You never thought you had to. He took a step back like the ground had shifted under him. That's not possible, he said, but there was no certainty left in his voice. I handled all of it. I built. No. I cut in, not raising my voice. You controlled the narrative, not the reality. Silence. Heavy. Final. Outside, the world he built around himself was already collapsing. People had started talking. Quietly at first, then louder. The same guests who laughed that night? They knew now. The details had spread. And the story wasn't flattering. His partners distanced themselves. Too many risks, too many unanswered questions. Contracts stalled.
Deals paused.
And legally, he wasn't in a position to fight much of anything. Everything he thought was his safety net wasn't his. He ran a hand through his hair, pacing once, then stopping again like he didn't know where to stand anymore. I made a mistake, he said, softer now. I'll fix it. We can fix it. I shook my head. This isn't something you fix. That was the truth he couldn't negotiate his way out of. Because this wasn't about one night. It was years of dismissal. Years of being reduced, corrected, spoken over, until he believed it was fact. And I let him believe it. Until he said it out loud. In front of everyone. That was the only thing he got right. I stepped back from the door. This is where it ends, Daniel. His eyes widened slightly. Maya. I closed the door. Not slammed. Not rushed.
Just closed.
Inside, everything was quiet.
Mine.
Finally. Outside, his voice didn't come back right away. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't wait for it. 9 days ago, he said I was nothing without him. Now, he understood exactly what that felt like.